maddeningly, in an exit interview a few days ago, President Joe Biden, in the last couple of weeks of his term, reiterated once again that he thinks, I probably could have beaten Donald Trump, which I know he's a proud man. I understand if you think that. My issue isn't with him continuing to hold that position. It's more so what he says makes him think that. And it's that he told USA Today that he feels that way based on polling, which I think is the worst thing to point to in terms of saying that you think you could beat him. Like, you could say, I'd have defeated him in the next debate, or people like me more than they like. But the polling in particular was very clear. And it's not just me saying that. It's one of TV's main poll guys. Here's CNN's Harry Enten.
Joe Biden, in his exit interview with USA Today, claims that he could have beaten Donald Trump had he stayed in the race. So this begs the question, could Biden have won the 2024 election had he stayed in the race? Truthfully, I categorize his statement as flat out bonkers. Why do I say his statement is flat out bonkers, that he could have won the 2024 election had he stayed in the race? Just take a look here. The road to 270 electoral votes, Trump versus Biden, based upon polling when Biden dropped out of the race. Look at those Great Lake battleground states. You know the ones I'm talking about: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Donald Trump ahead in all three. How about here in the Southeast, North Carolina, Georgia? Again, Trump leads. How about here in the Southwest, Nevada, Arizona? Again, Trump. So let's look at the entire 2024 campaign. Days Biden led Trump in 2024 when Biden was still in the race. Get this, zero, nada, no days was Biden ahead of Donald Trump. Now, of course, we look at one point in time, we'll look at when Biden was still in the race. What would have happened if Biden had stayed in the race? Is there any record of candidate as unpopular as Joe Biden winning? Look, Biden's net approval rating on election day, minus 19 points. Look at this. 0 of 6 incumbents reelected with a negative net approval rating. The bottom line is this: Joe Biden was behind, he had always been behind, and he most likely would have stayed behind. And that's why I categorize his statement that he could have won the 20.
I didn't know that flat out bonkers was an official categorization, but that's what Harry Enten says. Alex, what do you make of this?
It's sad because in a way it is a reminder that he was delusional, which is part of the reason that he probably shouldn't be president. The idea that this person would be president for 4 more years and is so in his own echo chamber that he believes that and wasn't getting a better information flow is part of the reason I think the Democrats lost. Not only would he have not beaten Donald Trump, he would have taken the party down with him in a far more significant way than what happened. I mean, Democrats were able to still win a lot of close races here in California, other places, to make the House so close. They still were able to win a lot of close Senate seats. Most likely that wouldn't have happened if Joe Biden was in the race. And his lack of any humility going out the door, or any reflection or any accountability on anything is stunning. And a guy who came into whose personal brand was all about empathy and humility and being a good guy, is leaving with that in tatters, and the party in tatters behind him. His decision to not only run, he should have dropped out of the race, 2.5 years ago. Yeah. And there would have been whatever you think of Kamala Harris, as the vice president who came that late, she didn't have the ability to really run against him. But if there was a different candidate who wasn't the president or vice president, who had their own thing, they could have run against that incumbent president, embraced some of it, but then ran against some of it too, and offered something new. But he didn't give anybody that chance because he did what he wanted. I mean, we see this with him doing the pardon. He just said, F it, I'm going to do what I want. Yesterday, he went to, which is great. I feel for him. He went to see his great grandchild being born in the middle of LA's firestorm and shut down roads so he could go there. He just is kind of doing what he wants. And for his whole thing was about being unselfish. It turns out, it's been pretty selfish.
Yeah. And it's sad too, because I think the fact that he eventually dropped out, not many politicians would have done that. So I gave him a lot of credit for doing that. So why are you undercutting it after the fact? Why are you making me feel bad for having given you the credit? And I understand nobody wants to be like, oh no, I would have gotten my clock cleaned. Nobody wants to do that. We all want to believe that we're the best and we can get it done. But you could protect your ego in a different way. You could say the polling was looking really bad. I probably would have lost. And it's really unfair because I feel like the media didn't give me the credit I deserve for the policies that I passed. I feel like, people didn't have a long enough time horizon for analyzing the effect of my like you could do all that stuff to protect your ego, but you can't look at that polling and saying that proves you'd win because it says the exact opposite thing.
Yeah, and by the way, the reason that Kamala Harris was the candidate is because he picked her. He picked her to be vice president. He picked her to be the candidate this time and endorsed her as well. And she was running on his record.
Yeah,
so
100%.
Anyway.
And I would have loved to have seen him. It would be hard as the vice president to run against the president regardless, but he could have at least told her behind the scenes, you know what? If you have to disagree with me, if you have to attack my record or whatever, you do whatever you need to do to get reelected because that's what's best for the party and for the country. No politician, I guess, would have done that, but I would have loved, if you're really about empathy and about humility and all that, that's how you demonstrate that, I think.
Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.